Yeah, so that was the Unaired Pilot, which I felt it was fun. That was a
It
fun
was a good
little like
adventure. It was
12
good.
little 12-minute adventure. It was probably a half of an episode. Um, maybe even a third of an episode, but
At first,
that
I was
was
like,
that was
"How
fun.
did the first like 3 minutes?" I was like, "Why did Netflix pick this up?" And then because I thought it was like pretty bad, like the first like two to 3 minutes. Like I was like, "Ugh."
Or Netflix. You mean
Or
Nickelodeon?
sorry, Nickelodeon. Why
Yeah.
Nickelodeon picked this up? And I'm like, I see why as the pilot went on. So like it got better and funnier and dialogue got better. I was
Yeah,
just
it's a pilot. Yeah.
yeah, the first 2 or 3 minutes were, you know,
Yeah, I think typically I think with pilots is it's more of a test, like it's like a test for children, or like like I think the show might have already been picked up by then, maybe not, but I remember them talking about the creators talking about how Nickelodeon wanted their own Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter kind of series because this was like early 2000s. Um, and I think this was a pilot, but also like a test subject for kids to see if again, like what tone they wanted to go for, what they wanted to do with Zuko, maybe the villain, what they wanted to do with, different things. And you could definitely tell, like, they pulled some stuff from this. Even like the pause frame that me and you laughed at, they used that a couple times in season one. Like in the Omashu episode, they use it, when the guy's like painting or something, and all of a sudden they like fly through the window and it like freezes. So they use a couple of those things pretty often. I thought it was fun. Yeah, I thought it was a fun little couple things that you noticed that were different or some things that you didn't like, didn't like, or things that stood out.
I mean, I liked they used a lot of the waterbending scroll episode in this pilot, like with the music, with the when they're flying away in the end, and Katara and Sakura are hanging on to Aang. It's the
Mm,
same as when they're trying to retreat from when they're cornered in the waterbending scroll episode when they get away.
mm,
Um, and they and then the the water whip in the beginning of the pilot. It was
mm-hmm.
when Qatar was doing water bending. I noticed a lot of water bending scroll in this pilot, which is pretty cool.
The same with Momo going against that eagle. Was much like when Momo went against the raptor hawk or whatever it was.
The parrot,
Um,
whatever it was, yeah.
the yeah whatever yeah it in the scroll episode. Yeah, that's a good catch there. I noticed that the uniforms were very different. The helmets that the majority of the men were wearing, like, were helmets we never seen before, probably never will see. Um, Zuko seemed a little bit more of like a boss. Like I don't know if he was like in charge of that like facility, but like it wasn't like, oh yeah, banished. He didn't give me the banished prince vibes. He gave me the like, we just took over this territory and now we're building a fort vibes. Um,
Like a
which is
commander,
interesting.
kind of.
Yeah, like a commander. Yeah. Um, I don't know if they had planned. I heard that also Zuko was like a last minute, one of the last things. Like they made the story of Avatar: Last Airbender without Zuko in there, and they added him because they wanted a villain on the ground so that we could see that was also younger, so we could relate to, and then eventually developed him into an anti-hero slash good guy.
Right.
Also, I don't know if you noticed that at the beginning when they showed Earth, Fire, Air, all that stuff. I believe I might have to go back and look, but I believe the Earthbender was what Toph was originally supposed to look like. Toph was
I
supposed to
had
look
no
like
idea.
kind of a more of a cartoonish man. And they ended up making her like he looks kind of like Bolin, like
Yeah.
that, like a build of Bolin, and like think Bolin but anime. Like this is kind of an anime-ish. Um,
Yeah.
so they made that was what Toph was supposed to look like,
I guess
and then
that's
they
why they
ended
made
up
the play on
deciding.
with tough because it sounds like
Hmm.
tough. Kind of the
Yeah.
play on like you know
Hmm.
really buff guy type of thing.
Right. And they kind of spun it to like it being the opposite, and then they made fun of it during the play. Um. Yeah. That was I liked it. Like I mean, I was like, it gave me season one vibe. Like I'm not a huge season one fan. Like I mean, obviously I like season one, but season one to me is like the least of the three seasons. But there is something about like a nostalgic about seeing the three on Appa, flying over, with the moon behind them. There's something nostalgic about Zuko chasing them. Like just that whole like vibe I got. The music is different in season one than it is in other seasons. So like that gave me a nice that was like a nice vibe to that. So
No, yeah, I totally agree. I enjoyed it. I think it's very they did the zoo like one thing I really liked about season one that they really didn't do later was the intensity of Zuko's face. In season one, they do that a few times.
hmm
Um, like at the end of the first episode, like wake my uncle, tell him I have the Avatar, and then it's like the
hmm
intensity of his face, and then They do it again when Zhao enters Roku's temple, the Fire Nation temple, when he says like your little smoke screen didn't work, and then like he goes, it's like the intensity on Zuko's face, like
like a close up.
just showing that turmoil,
hmm
um, and hatred and just a whole bunch of emotions there.
hmm
And they did that also here in the pilot, um, a little bit in a different light, like less
Right.
and a little bit less animation,
Yeah.
that needed to be tuned up a little bit. But other than that, um, very season one Zuko vibes.
It. I don't know about you, but it seemed a little bit more anime style as well. Did you get that feel?
Yeah,
Yeah. Like it was very. It was. I don't know if it was a different studio. Probably was, but it felt a little bit more like an anime than it did a cartoon. I guess you could say. Which I didn't mind it. I didn't mind. I think the best part of that. I would say there was like three parts that stood out to me. One was when the gate opened and you just see the dragon's head or the serpent's head, and you're
serpent.
like, oh my gosh. uh
Looks like
um
look what I brought home for dinner.
right. Another standout for me, I think we both thought it was hilarious, was what he was like something along the lines. I was like, he's not coming for you. He's probably hiding under a rock. And then all of a sudden you just see him flying across, and that was funny. And then the third, it would less of a scene stand out, but the third standout that I noticed that was they just made Sokka into a complete prick in this episode.
Yep,
Like I
yep.
know early on in season one, like I would say the first maybe 5 or 6 episodes, like up until like even past Kyoshi Island, like I would say up until like the storm, like maybe like the first 10 episodes, maybe like six
Hmm.
episodes, they kind of made Sokka into like this like I wouldn't say he didn't trust Aang, but like he didn't look at Aang. He Aang had to like he had to grow into Aang. Um, and I mean there was times obviously they were doing stuff together, but like I just felt like the first couple episodes he was not like 100% about Aang in the sense of like like great friends. Um,
Right.
so
Because
I
like
got that sense this
he didn't want to go originally. I mean,
right,
he only wanted to go because of Katara, and
right.
like so he didn't want to do it on his own accord to begin with. And one aspect that I just thought of was, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but like when Aang accidentally burns Katara
Mm-hmm,
in the deserter episode,
mm-hmm.
like Sokka pounces on him.
Yeah, he like tackles him.
Like I don't know if like season three Aang and Sokka would
Threes.
have done that, or
Mm-hmm,
even season two. Like it was still that like yeah, obviously you're the big brother, defend your sister, sure, but like this, I feel like if you like, I think I'm just trying to point out and illustrate just what you're talking about in
right.
terms of it took Sokka longer to accept Aang and be not that he wasn't friends with him before that, but to grow that bond
Mm-hmm.
that they
Yeah,
eventually would have.
yeah,
Because I don't think season two Sokka or even season three Sokka
yeah.
would even have done that if the deserter was in season 3 or 2.
Yeah, it makes you think about, and I'm sure we'll talk about this in another episode. I don't really want to do it now, but it
Sure.
does make you think about how the timeline is and where, like, when does it all start? Does it start in early December, late November? We know it's the winter. It's winter time when it starts. Um, when does season one end? Is it like end of January and there's a solid like month gap between, and so it's like early March when they're on the boats Avatar State episode, which kind of puts you into like, literally like what seems like maybe 2 weeks later, where he's like, it's spring, Appa's shedding. And that seemed like it was about maybe 2 weeks after episode one, when they met Toph, because Cave of Two Lovers and Omashu are like pretty much the same day, maybe one day later. They're back to back, so like it kind of just makes you think of like, and then we know Appa gets stolen, and he's gone for a month, so they're in Ba Sing Sing for about 3 weeks, so that puts it towards like the end of spring, and then we know Aang was out for a couple weeks, and we probably woke up early summer, and then the end of the summer is when the comic comes. So like you can kind of piece together the timeline. So that's why it really bugs me when people are like, I've like just heard people be like, oh yeah, like Avatar, like how, like it's like what, 3 years, like 2 years. I'm like, did you not like? No, there's a whole timeline. Like Aang has to beat him by the end of the summer. Like it's obviously the beginning of spring in season two. It's obviously winter time. You can tell by their clothes. Like they go
Right.
from like wearing like winter jackets to like spring clothes to like summer clothes, pretty much like the 3 seasons.
That's
Um,
a good point. That's a good point.
yeah, so it's like season one. They're in, even when they're like out and about in Omashu, they're wearing winter clothes, because it's like December,
Right.
January.
Right.
And then season two, they're wearing lighter stuff, Appa shedding, um, and like, it's obviously the springtime. And then season three, it's obviously summer. Um, so, but we can get into like timeline, birthdays, and stuff, and
Yeah.
like, are there holidays in this series? Like, we can definitely get into that at another time.
Yep.
Going back to my original point though, it makes you think, like let's say the first 5 or 6 episodes, or when he tackled him, right? Was that only 3 weeks into their journey? That was episodes 15, 16. So was that
15. Nope.
15,
16. 16.
16? So like, was that? And we know episode one and two are one day. It's one day, right? Maybe 2 days.
Yeah, one or two.
So
Well, yeah,
one
two
or two
days. Sure.
days. So like, I would think that was probably maybe 3 weeks, maybe a month into their journey when he tackles them, and then maybe another 2 or 3 weeks. I would say them getting to from the south to the North Pole probably took 7 weeks, maybe. Um, so and then they were probably in the North Pole for another like month or so,
Right.
in between seasons. So it's very interesting to think about that. But yeah, we'll have a whole episode about that. I think that's a really cool discussion to have.
I
Now,
don't disagree.
just I guess to close out, or maybe we keep talking about it. Um, I mean, was there anything? I think I already asked you. Is there anything you disliked and anything that stood out to you? But is there anything that you saw and noticed that you were like, that would have been interesting to put that in the show? Either if it was animation style, story elements, fighting
uh,
fighting elements.
I just didn't like the beginning. First
Yeah, first like
first 2 or 3 minutes.
it's all in the legs.
It just seemed just convoluted and complex, and I just did not appreciate that. But after that, it got way better. So, other than the first 2 or 3 minutes, I do wish Katara was more crass, like in this.
What do you mean?
Like she was just like she was more blunt and to the point in this pilot rather than in
Oh,
season one. Where like
Okay.
season 1, she's more innocent, all about hope,
Hmm.
which is fine. But it'd been funny to have a little bit of that crassness. It'd been funny.
Okay. Oh, so this score. Okay. Or sorry. Um.
Sorry, Kaya. Even though,
I was gonna say why. I wonder why they changed her name from Kaya. I think I heard they changed it because there was a video game or something that came out, and Kaya was the main character, and they didn't want to have to, and they didn't know how big the game was going to be, and they didn't want to have to compete, and it was supposed to be like a big game. I forgot what it was. I forgot what
oh,
game they were talking about. I thought I saw it somewhere, but like Kaya was like a main character of a big game that was supposed to come out, and it came out, and I think it didn't do as well. But they didn't want to have their competition. Let me look it up now. Why did And then they clearly changed. I don't know if they changed Zuko's voice, but they changed Aang's voice.
no, Zuko's Dante Bosco did that.
Yeah,
I think that's a different Aang voice. I do.
yeah,
If I had to take a guess, it'd be a different Aang voice. But I think Mae Whitman was still Katara or Kaya, and Jack DeSena was still Sokka. Everybody was the same except Aang, I think.
yeah. So it doesn't tell you why, but it says Nickelodeon's legal department vetoed the name when they discovered there was already a video game character named Kaya.
Boom.
Now, I believe, her mother's Kaya.
Correct.
Is it her mother? It's her daughter too.
Yes, she named her mom. Katara named her daughter Kaya after her mom.
Okay. I'm trying to find out what video game it was. Okay, Sky Diamond.
Never heard of it.
I think it's a Japanese game. It looks like
Oh,
Swahili or something.
Swahili?
Oh, that's the place. Okay, yeah, okay. And Sky Diamond's the video game. Okay, that makes sense. Um, yeah, I mean, that's cool. I didn't know that. That's fun fact.
Fun fact, cabin.
Yeah, fun facts. We'll do a fact. We'll do a trivia game one day.
Yes, we will.
Yeah, I mean, so I had one more takeaway. I kind of forgot what it was, but I had another takeaway that was about something about their names or something along the lines of their names or voice actors, but I kind of forgot what it was. Um, but overall, I thought it was fun. What? Oh, wait, any last thing? I mean, we're only 30 minutes into this thing.
It was good. It was a good pilot. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Like overall, I'm not disappointed. I'm glad Nickelodeon picked it up, obviously.
Obviously, I'm glad they picked it up. That would have been.
It's like we're part of the Nickelodeon board of directors. We're deciding which
Mm,
pilots to accept for Nickelodeon. I'm glad we picked it up.
I
Uh,
remember what I was gonna say. By the way, whenever you're
yeah.
done talking,
Okay.
what was I gonna say? What did you think about the opening? Where it was
I'm
like
so
boom.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad.
It was like fire. Boom. You like see him like. Was
I'm
it
just
better than Grand Grants? Was it better than Grand Grants?
yes.
Yeah, I agree.
No, but I'm just glad they uh got better with the opening theme and the introduction. I'm glad they came. I'm glad they found a resolution and crisped it up a little bit.
Yeah, I was gonna say they
Not a little bit. It was pretty. They crisped it up a lot. Yeah.
they cooked up a lot, but they definitely made it smoother. Like they definitely made it like the beginning when they did. I think it was the bungs in between, but it was just the drums or something in between. But it was like it felt weird. I felt like I was watching like not a video game. I felt like I was watching something. It felt like I was watching. It felt like I was watching a Game Boy, original Game Boy. The original Game Boy. It felt like I was watching the original Game Boy like opening for a game. You
I
know,
don't disagree with that analogy.
you do agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I felt like. So I'm glad they changed that. Um, well, I think for the most part, I'm good. I'm good to go.
Are you
If
happy?
yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy
Are
that the
you content?
creators. I'm content. I'm content.
I'm glad we picked it up.
There's a couple of these other videos as well. There's one about in between season 2 and season 3, escaping the spirit world, and you see kind of what happened in between. You don't see what happens in between, but you see Aang talks to his past avatars. So you learn more about the world of Avatar. And then there's another lost episode. Now these are both like you have to read them. They're almost like
Mm,
comics, but they're not comics. They were created by the creators, hand drawn, like just like
I,
animation style, but in
I
more of a
get it.
comic feel. Um, but yeah, there's one that's a lost episode. It was supposed to be in episode 1. They took it out, so we can watch that.
Okay,
Yeah, we can watch that one time.
let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. Well, Cabbage Crew. This was we had because of the eclipse. Instead of doing one large episode, we did 2 short episodes so that we could have an eclipse special episode, I guess you could say. And
Day of
then we
Black
had
Sun
a
episode.
Day of Black Sun episode, which is out right now. Um, as of Monday, this will be out on Wednesday. But definitely check out both of those episodes. Wednesdays, 8 a.m. is when the podcast normally drops. And then also, we're going to be putting out season 2 of Korra. John's going to be reviewing that um, coming out this Saturday as well.
Yeah.
So, couple shout outs to different things. Um, John, anything you want to tell the audience before we leave?
Or comment below what you thought about the pilot. And thank you for subscribing. And if you're new, please subscribe. We need all the Cabbage Crew members so that each and every one of you can be a fresh cabbage.
Trying to get to 150 by June 15th.
June
Is when we
15th.
go. June 15th is when we're going to be going to Anime Con. We want 150 subscribers, one per Pokemon.
That's right.
All right. Well, see you.
See you, Cabbage Crew. Thanks for tuning in.